Hello, Justajolt here. Welcome to my unboxing and review of the new Nerf Fortnite Microshots. The Nerf Fortnite Microshots we have thus far are actually pretty cool. My personal favourite's the llama. Followed closely by Stroppy Jr. Look at that face. Fits right in with the rest of the family. If you haven't watched my quad launcher video yet, go and watch it. Then come back and watch the rest of this one. It's just so satisfying to get tags with these while you're nerfing, especially the llama. And for a Jolt Reskin, the performance isn't that bad. Shotgunny goodness. Let's start with the HCR. On the back of the box it tells you what other blasters to look out for. These are number 5, 4 and 6 in the series. 1, 2 and 3 being these guys. It's interesting to compare the old boxes with the new boxes. The new boxes have got a lot of warnings on them. Actually it's just 2 warnings in multiple languages. Do not aim at eyes or face. That's what eye protection's for. Use only with official Nerf darts. Or what, Hasbro? Some brands of cheaper darts do tend to have harder tips, like full vinyl jackets for example. I would definitely recommend not using them. However, waffle tips, AccuFakes, X-Shot darts and Z tips, no problem at all. Anyway, warnings aside, these are very similar to the other boxes. Fortnite skins on one side and the blaster's number on the other. Actually, that's number 5. Maybe I better start with number 4. I think this guy's name is Raptor, which means he's probably good at opening doors. Micro ARL goodness. ARL, of course, standing for Assault Rifle Legendary. Basically a baby version of this. So cute. Let's get it out of the box. Inside the box we have the blaster, 2 darts, and an officious piece of paper telling you again to only use Nerf darts. It also says not to modify the darts or the blaster, which considering this shell is solvent welded together, this blaster actually looks quite interesting. There are actually some funky little details on this blaster. You got the mag right here. Little baby mag. And actually having the bigger blaster to make comparisons to is quite useful here. Quite a few similarities, which you'd expect. There's a little baby stock. There's a little faux safety button there, as there is also on the bigger blaster. I don't know what this thing is, but there's one of those on there too. Big barrel, little barrel. And cartridge ejector, cartridge ejector. I think that's what that's called. Correct me in the comments below, is that a cartridge ejector? Anyway, the similarities and detailing are actually quite cool. On one side we've got the Fortnite logo, on the other side we've got the Microshots logo. Only one side's been painted so the Microshots logo isn't coloured in, but at least it's there. Tactical rail on top of the big ARL, maybe tactical rail on the little ARL. It's trying to be like its daddy, mummy, parental attachment figure. In my mind, what I like most about this are the sights. Obviously the sights don't flip up like on the big ARL, but they're there and that's a nice touch. You could even kind of use them to aim, I guess. Prime the blaster like this, put a dart in there, and then fire. Since this blaster is tactical enough to come with both stock and sights, I do feel obliged to try them out. What is this? A stock for ants? I'm not sure how practical this stock is. The sights, however, fairly functional. I'm going to try and give you a view of this, but the sights actually line up fairly well and they're pretty good. Whilst this blaster is fairly comfortable to hold, there's only really space on the handle for these 2 fingers, which kind of leads me to believe it was made for the British market. Come along, George, let's pop some caps. Now on to number 5. I have no idea what she's called. At least this guy's balaclava and gloves went with his blaster. Crazy Fortnite. I don't know. Inside the box you get the blaster, 2 darts, and nothing else. HCR. What does R stand for? E is epic, L is legendary. What does R stand for? I do quite like the colours on this. Does this remind anyone of James Bond's gun? You know, the Walther PP, whatever it was. PPK, PP7? It was called PP7 in GoldenEye. Again, we've got Fortnite and Nerf printed on one side, nothing printed on the other, but we do have the Microshots logo. This is also a very British blaster. I've just realised that the other Fortnite blasters actually left space for your pinky. See, there's a little lip there where your pinky can rest. And actually, it's not uncomfortable. There's a little pinky ridge there too, look. The rocket launcher's a bit more cramped, but there's still a pinky rest. Other details on the blaster include a faux hammer. You can tell how the top's trying to kind of look like a slider mechanism. You can imagine how that would slide back and forwards in a gunny kind of way. Come on, I'm British, guys, cut me some slack. And there's some faux iron sights, which are a little bit weird because when you look through them due to perspective, the front iron sight blocks everything you can see through the rear iron sights. Just didn't think this through, did you, Hasbro? When you go to load this blaster, you'll notice there's kind of a cone shape around the barrel of the blaster. This feature means that the blaster kind of helps you guide the dart in. It's actually quite easy to load. See, look, I can take my dart, I can close my eyes, go like this. That was a bad example. I can close my eyes, I can go like this, and the cone actually helps to feed the dart into the blaster. Do you know what? I take it all back. That's actually quite an interesting design feature. That is so interesting. Now, I realise that Hasbro probably didn't make this with the intention of it being used in competitive Nerf wars, but actually, that cone feature around the opening of the barrel is quite innovative and interesting. It is genuinely very easy to load this. And I've just realised that the ARL also has a similar feature. And this is definitely a feature which the other 3 Microshots do not have. Sorry, llama. I'm literally going to push this dart up against the edge there, and it feeds itself in anyway. You sort of get the dart in the right area. That's very interesting. One issue with that is, though, that once the dart's in, it is harder to get out, so it's harder to unload your blaster without firing it. But bearing in mind that's the whole point of having a Nerf blaster, I don't see why that's a problem. I'm actually coming to quite like this. This is actually growing on me. Not only that, but I love how stylish these X-Shot darts look in the blaster. I know Mother Hasbro won't like this, but these X-Shot darts actually look really good with these two blasters. That was meant to be fashion show catwalk music. So stylish. Now on to number 6. If I'm quite honest, I thought this was going to be my favourite blaster, but these two have grown on me a lot. Come on, Battle Bus, let's see what you got. At least the darts are somewhat coordinated. Inside the box, we have a blaster and 2 darts. I also love the way that Battle Bus is the only one that's written in multiple different languages. Micro Battle Bus, Micro Bus de Combat, Micro Battle Bus, Micro Bus de Combate. I love this. It seems like there's a lot of detail printed on the Battle Bus. For a start, there's these lovely looking clamps on the wheels. Traffic Warden's Dream. I also like how the windows are kind of open to different heights. Nice Nerf logo, bits of mud on the Battle Bus. It even says Battle Bus on the side, look. Fortnite logo there. Again, there's less printing on this side of the blaster, but there is still more printing than on the other blasters. This blast has 1, 2, 3 printed colours. 1, 2, 3 printed colours. With only 1 colour printed on the other side. But the Battle Bus gets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 printed colours. And that's actually quite a lot for any Nerf blaster. And on the other side, it gets 1, 2, 3. That's immense. Again, the windows are all at different heights. I think possibly my favourite bit about the Battle Bus is the detailing on it. In fact, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see this very Battle Bus cruising around the streets of London. Even though there's a lot of space on the front of this blaster, it doesn't have the same funneling mechanism. Although it does have that pipe for whatever that pipe does. In terms of aiming the blaster, I guess there is an eye in sight. I also kind of like the way this bit on the handle kind of mirrors that. How are people going to get out of the bus with that in the way? There isn't a back door. The people are stuck in this bus. If this is a bus for ants, how are they going to get on? Anyway, let's fire it. Put a dart in. Oh, that's so much fun. Let's shoot the deploy. That's what it's for. The absence of a trigger guard on this blaster does mean that I get a similar sort of thing happening as I did with the Llama. And the rocket launcher too, actually. Sometimes when you go to prime this blaster, if your finger isn't far enough off the trigger, it won't prime properly. And it's not even this finger that's the problem, it's the fingers underneath. As I'm trying to pull down, the rest of the blaster's coming with me, which is pulling the blaster downwards into these fingers, which is depressing the trigger. So the finger guards on these blasters actually serve a useful function. I will definitely be using this at Grim-Up Nerf next month in September, so that is an important tactical consideration. It is also worth mentioning that the Battle Bus does have a pinky rest. All in all, here are my thoughts about these 3 Microshot blasters. These two are quite different to this one for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the ARL and the HCE both have these conical openings at the front of their barrel, which does actually make it much easier to load them. I can close my eyes, and the dart still kind of goes in. Whereas if I close my eyes on this one, I've got to work that a little bit harder. I realise these blasters weren't intended to be played with. I am a nerfer, so of course it's something I think about. The second major difference between these blasters and the Battle Bus is the absence of a pinky rest, which is fine, it just means you've got to play like a Brit. Which also leaves your pinky free to tap the like button. On the other hand, the Battle Bus has the disadvantage of not having the concave barrel mouth, but it does have a pinky rest of sorts. And the final difference, of course, is the trigger guard. These two have a trigger guard, this one doesn't, which means that these two are less complicated to prime and this one's more complicated to prime. All of this leads to some interesting comparisons between all of the Nerf Fortnite Microshots. These 3 have trigger guards, those 3 don't. These 4 have pinky rests, these 2 don't. These 2 have conical concave barrels, these 4 don't. Overall, tactically, my favourite Fortnite Microshot is probably now the humble TS. Before making this video, the TS was probably my least favourite Fortnite Microshot, simply for the reason it wasn't as funky as these. However, in light of the fact it has a trigger guard and a pinky rest, it's now got a lot going for it. I still absolutely love these because of how random they are. I mean, who wouldn't want to run into battle with a Battle Bus, a Llama, or a mini rocket launcher? But tactically, these guys have a lot going for them too, if you can talk tactics with Microshots. Alright, I know I'm probably missing the point about the function of Microshots, but it's interesting. In terms of size, they're all fairly comparable to Jolts, albeit with more shell. Fortnite Microshots 1, 2 and 3 are actually the most similar to the Jolt in terms of overall size, from the tip of the barrel to the priming handle. Similar sort of size, and similar sort of size, albeit with that big bit there coming out. Fortnite Blasters 4, 5 and 6, however, are ever so slightly longer and a little bit more bulky. A little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. Which is also interesting, because after all, each one is just a Jolt reskin. All 3 Microshots also stand up rather neatly for display purposes. Put them on your shelf or something. which is something that they all do. Whilst I don't have time to play Fortnite, I do think these blasters are kind of cool. I'm a big fan of Jolts anyway, so the fact I can play with a battle bus, a llama, or one of these is actually quite a cool thing. The fact that these are innovative enough to make loading blasters easier is something which probably will affect my choice to use them at future Nerf wars. I have to be honest, when I first went out to buy these, I was really just doing it for the battle bus. But now I'm a bit more intrigued. This has actually been a rather serious review by my standards. Seriously, make sure you go to Instagram and look at the adventures of the battle bus. Actually, to be fair, I do have something very serious to say. Spectre N-7, what's going on next year? In April, in Bristol. Bonefest! Just asking. Go and Google it. Bonefest! Quick channel update. I've actually been sitting on these new Fortnite blasters for about a week, and I want to give a quick shout out to the Smith's employee who went and found these for me when I couldn't see them on the shelves. The only one I could see on the shelf was this. I want to thank the manager of Smith's in Crown Point so much for going off and finding these for me as well. Additionally, I've got some other blasters which I've been sitting on which really need reviewing. The Alpha Strike Tiger, the Alpha Strike Cobra, and the Chaos Orbit. I'm going to be experimenting with making the unboxing videos on Twitch, so please go and find me on Twitch. I'm Justajolt. Posted the link on my Facebook for those who can't find it.